Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the participants and the speakers joining us from across the country and beyond. I, Sanchita Viswas, Deputy Manager, KCS Fair India, is delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar on Voices of the Young, Driving Change in Climate and Disaster Resilience, jointly organized by Fair India, IEEE Young Professionals, IEEE GRSS, BIT Mestra, student chapter, student branch chapter, and Sadri. We are gathered today to mark the International Youth Day, a reminder of immense potential of young people to shape a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future. Across India and world, youth are emerging as innovators, mobilizers, and advocates, leading grassroots climate projects, driving disaster preparedness, and influencing policy. Yet there is a need for greater platforms to amplify their voices and integrate their leadership in resilience strategy. Through the session, we aim to highlight the inspiring youth-led initiatives, strengthen collaboration with policymakers, and explore ways to mainstream youth leadership in climate and disaster risk reduction. It's my pleasure to introduce our moderator of the day, Dr. Surajit Ghosh, a distinguished researcher specializing in geospatial application for forestry, water resources, and agriculture, currently with the International Water Management Institute, with vast experience in climate risk mitigation, machine learning, and hydrological modeling. Dr. Ghosh has collaborated with leading institutions such as ISRO, IIRS, and World Bank, and is the recipient of multiple prestigious awards, including the Geospatial Award 2020 and Geo SDG Award 2020. With this, I hand over to Dr. Ghosh to lead us through today's discussion and introduce our esteemed speakers throughout the session. Over to you, sir.
Hi, Sanchita.
Hello, sir.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
So there might be few background noise.
No problem, sir. We can
No problem.
properly hear you.
Yeah. Thank you. So thanks for organizing this today's webinar, and we have lots of young speaker. I see Nitish, Anuva, Ayush, and Hina. So just before starting this particular webinar, so we need to understand that why we are here today, right? So I see we have almost 20 participants, and I guess they are from various geographical domain, as well as they're from the different educational and practice background. So you know why we are here, because today's, as Sanchita mentioned, today's World Youth Day, and you know the importance of the youth, and those basically we will get more information about what youth is thinking today about the disaster resilience strategy development, or the sustainable development goals and related issues to for the climate adaptation and mitigations. So with this, I would like to invite Nitish. So Nitish, you are welcome, and please share your thoughts and your reflection about or your understanding about the climate change, DRR, and what is youth role uh, to build a better future. I also request Nitish, please first introduce yourself. Uh, Not, and also please add how you come to this particular field, and how you become the voice of youth. So what do you mean, Nitish?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Suji. Hello, everyone. This is Nitish from Madhya Pradesh. Currently, I'm based in Indore. It's my pleasure to join every one of you on this important topic. Before I start, I'm Nitish. I'm a DRR professional. The journey of starting Youth for Resilience and working with young people started quite early from my school time period. I was voluntarily working with another organization and have been working with school students across India. Uh, but how I started Youth for Resilience is it's a quite interesting incident. It started during Corona. I was working with one of the UN organization at that time. And at the global level, I was a part of, I was a representative of young people from Asia and Pacific on DRR, on the UN platforms. And at the global level, we were talking a lot about, youth engagement, having young people involved in the decision-making and policy-making processes. But at the same time, when I was working on the ground at the district level, I saw the vast difference of the discussions going on the global platforms and the realities, what's actually happening. So it encouraged me to start, to take something proactive initiative of my own, to start working on this initiative of Youth for Resilience, mainly focusing on how we can involve young people in the decision-making and policy-making processes, help them to build their capacity. So once they had chance on these platforms, they can, meaningfully contribute. As you know, we don't have a time, so I have prepared a very brief presentation. Let me share. I'm not going to share it completely, but it will be very helpful for me. See, for me, when we start talking about young people's involvement or engaging young people in DRR or climate action or any related this field, what I heard a lot, and of course we all have listened to this phase, is young people are our future. But what I see and what my initiative focuses more about of course, young people are future. They are going to take a decision. They are going to be policymakers in coming year. But they also are our presence. So that's the thing we have to talk a lot about. We keep pushing out, putting them for the later period, but they should be also involved in our present processes, which because they are the ones who are going to be impacted by disasters, the climate change impacts. So that's why it's very important for young people who have lived experience of this. They should be part of all these processes. So for me, it's of course young youth leaders are our future, but they are also present. And when we talk about this youth engagement and youth representations, you will see a lot of discussion, a lot of talking about now, a lot of forums happening. But at the action phase, we are still very very behind of actually engaging young people. And I've been part of different global platforms, and of course, I see all this processes still very much at the tick boxing or very tokenistic engagement of young people. I was a part of I was invited for the G20 DRR working group. I saw there also the same problem. Of course, the young representatives were there, but the actual contributions of young people in this big forum, which changes policies or decide policies, are still quite less. That's what my experience of working in this space for the last few years suggests. This is the, let me start with why I'm sharing this. This is the project. We did it 2 years ago with WWF USA. It's called Youth Champions Program. It was for the Global South. So we had young people from Asia, Africa, and South America joined us. And the whole idea of not to design a program for young people by our own, but to involve young people with them. So the whole process was to design a youth program with young people. And it was like, like the pilot projects where they are the one who were the decision maker and the, like the contributor, how the program of young people should look like at their region. So this is the program project which we did it with WWF. We were like one of the partner for this whole program, which went like almost 1 year. And we had like a quite success of, launching a program, very much focusing on nature-based solution for flood risk management, where young people were the contribution co-designer of this initiative. And of course, like when you join, all of you are joined, why young people's involvement or youth participations is important. But of course, I wanted to highlight a few things. And for me, one of the important aspect of why I believe young people's involvement in all these processes is important because, this intergenerational equity, when we talked about a lot of young people bring, energy, new innovations, new ideas. And but of course, we need, the experience of the different generations, their knowledge. So that's where I think it's very important to involve young people to take their contributions, their innovations, the urgency they have to work on these issues. That's why I believe youth participation is very, very important in all aspects of not only in disaster management or climate action, but all this as every policy related issues which affect young people. And of course, as we see, they are the part of like our future generations. So they should be involved in all these processes. See, when we see like especially in I come from the background of disasters, and we see the young people or especially children are seen as like the victims or affected populations. We also have to accept they are the one who are the responders and who are the one who contributed to all these processes. They are the one who always are the first responders in all these processes. But at the same time, when there's a time to take decisions, they are invisible. They are not part of the process of, like the decisions which going to affect them. Of course, see, it's very, we always say youth are agents of change, but we have to make structural changes. I believe it's not only the willingness to involve young people, but it also have to be a very much structural policy level changes we need to do to involve young people. With this, I wanted to talk about a few barriers. What are the barriers we usually see in this whole processes which affect young people's involvement? And also then the next step I wanted to suggest based on my experience, what are some good practices to involve young people? And of course, a lot of you who are involved in all these processes are very much aware of all these processes. But what I wanted to emphasize is this institutional barriers, which we have to talk a lot about, is at the top level. Like I always see at the global level, big institutions at the top leadership talks a lot about involving young people. But at the same time, their account staff who are actually working with the communities, actually working on the ground, they don't have these capacities, they don't have resources, they don't have, like the skill set to involve very meaningful to the young people. And then this whole process becomes very tokenistic. And the same way of this global events right now happening, the big platforms, which invites young people, give them a different space to talk a lot. But again, the problem is it's young people talking to young people. See, India hosted the G20 very well. And for the Y20, we hosted almost more than 100 events across India. But again, the problem was young people were talking to young people. See, when we wanted to involve young people in the policy making processes. It's very important to have decision makers and policy makers on the same platform as where young people are speaking and young people are sharing. Otherwise, it's become like, like a very like echo chamber system where young people talks to young people, and then the whole processes become very tokenistic without making any sufficient change. And of course, there is a resource change, and all the youth leaders and the youth organizations who are working, they can very they struggle a lot to take resources or to take up to get funding or grants, because the grant system, or like to support system for the young people's organizations, which are like very ad hoc, sometimes very voluntary organizations, don't have a very formal legal structure, so they don't get support of all this. So that's where also at the donor agencies and the policies needs to be very much flexible to support all these youth organizations to work in the spaces where they wanted to work. And the whole time when Youth for Resilience we are working, a lot of emphasis is to the leadership. It should be at very local level, like if young people's need to work, it should be always, like at the local level by the youth led. So because then they know the context, then they know the language, then they know the people. And that's where the initiatives make impact rather than it becomes like top to down approach. So that's like few of the barriers which are always released, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware about it, what we are seeing in this whole process as why young people are not very much involved, and the struggle they have to face to join all these processes. Few of the processes and techniques which I believe is very essential if all of you wants to work with young people, or young people wants to like very influence the processes. The one of the things I believe it's very important is the co-creation of the policies. Let me give you a very interesting example of the state of Madhya Pradesh. When the state of Madhya Pradesh developed their youth policy, they invited young people to give, like a consultations and give their inputs. But it happened when the whole process, the whole policy was already made, and the policy was about to launch, and that's where the problem starts, because then it becomes like a very tokenistic way of like just saying we had a youth consultation. But if we actually want to develop a policy for young people, it should start youth people's engagement, or young people's join this whole processes when the idea of the youth policy started discussing happened. I think that's where we have talked a lot about how young people and young people should be involved from the policy at the start, not at the end, just like a very like a tokenistic way of saying, oh, we had a youth consultation. And of course, the youth center participations is very important. And, I always feel young people have a lot of different things to contribute. So it's very important to have young people's participations, but also to have a platform, or to develop a platform in such a way where young people can actually contribute. I think that's all from my side. Thank you very much. I'm definitely here for any questions. Thank you.
Hi, Nitish. Thanks very much. We can take few questions on Nitish. So from the participants, if you have any questions or if you have any thoughts or comments, please come forward.
Or sir, we can take the questions in the chat box and just take it forward in the open discussion session.
Sure. We
Yes.
can take that way also. So participants, if you have any questions, please put into the chat box. We can take those questions during our open discussion session or open Q&A session. With this, I would like to thank Nitish for all these insights. So next, Anubha, similar way, please uh, share your thoughts within 15 minutes and introduce yourself and try to give more perspective on the technology and innovation sides. And what is your experience? Over to you, Anubha.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Thank you so for your introduction. I am Anubhav. I am currently doing my PhD from BIT Meshra in the Department of Remote Sensing, and as well as I serve as a YP ambassador for IEEE GRSS. Mm. Today, in the Youth Day, I'm honored to be a part of the discussion. Mm. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you for inviting me for this session. To start with, I would like to give an overview of what is disasters and how technology and innovation can help in developing resilience for the society. So, as we all know, disasters are a serious disruption in the functioning of the society, which can have a widespread impact on the community stakeholders. These can be natural, man-made, or quasi-natural, as well as technological. To mitigate these type of disasters, we can go over in phases such as how can we manage it from disasters, from pre-event to disasters and post-event. We have a few set of cycles how we could prepare ourselves to combat these disasters and get to a wider resilience of the society. So, getting to what is the disaster scenario for India, from this we can understand that climatological disasters are the worst affected disasters which affect India, and building resilience from it requires special attention to it. And climatological disasters accounts for drought, floods, landslides, and along with others. So for here, how what we defined as what disaster risk reduction. It is aimed to at preventing or the new or reducing the impact of the existing disasters, managing its residual risk, and contribute to strengthening resilience for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 as per the frameworks. So, to create to go to a wider resilience, we need to work on the components at a different scale from short term to intermediate to a long term. For short term, we need to go more focused on getting the things stabilized, re-establish, and at last build resilience. These building resilience could be better understood by better disaster early warning system, better response to it, better planning and recovery system. So, as we are talking about roles, innovations and technologies, here remote sensing technology, that is the Earth observation technology, plays a critical role in understanding and enhancing the disaster resilience for the society, where we can use the historical data retrieved from Earth observations to identify what are the disaster-prone hotspots, help in near real-time monitoring, help in post-recovery, disaster recovery. For example, we know the areas in we know from the Earth observation data, we can understand which areas are more prone to disasters or which are the hotspots for disaster, for example, flood, drought, which are the hotspots for tropical cyclones. So, through analyzing the historical data we obtain from the Earth observation, we can identify those spots and help the community to get better prepared for the building resilience. For the near real time, we can have the early warning systems for better reporting. For example, now IMD has a very near real time accurate system for predicting heavy rainfall, thunderstorms. Thunderstorms, the post disaster recovery can using Earth observation data, we can identify the routes through which evacuations can be maintained. Other similar type of soft devices such as IoTs, smartphones, and social media can also help in various phases of disaster management. So here we can understand how the emergency management can help in the various form of disasters. For example, if we are going towards natural disaster emergencies, we can identify the risk assessment hotspots, how mitigation strategies can be involved, what are the new emergency response technologies can be used. Similarly, we can understand the pathways for it, what are the pathways through which we can build the resilience, such as focusing on critical infrastructures, making the community more adaptable to the impacts of disasters, to building critical infrastructure such as flood shelters, empowering the youth, women for economic stability. We can have responses of climate risk insurances. We can mobilize human capital. These altogether can help in lead in the governance part, along with more new policies for tackling the impacts of disasters. So here, connecting with today's topic, what is the role of youth or role of community in building community disaster resilience? We can help in capacity building for the youth. We can promote effective communication, understanding the risks and uncertainties. We can mobilize people for local knowledges and resources, increase social connectedness through social media, empowering and preparation of engagement, collaboration between stakeholders. So here, youth plays a major role in connecting these components of disasters. So, to what, as we know, youth are is one of the major pillars of the society. Their active involvement in social media outreach, adaptability to new technologies can help in disseminating information, building more resilience. They also act as a act for ice breaking into the society of stereotypes and myths for disaster resilience. Youth can also engage in social youth forums such as UN Youth Forum, as my previous speaker Nitish was talking about youth involvement for the building resilience in a program of Global South. So this can motivate and initiate the building of resilience. So they can also help in volunteering in drills, which can increase the capacity building. Youth can also play an active role in data collection for early warnings, which is now more popularly known as the citizen science. And these could be more connected to the global goals. Their inputs can help in the connecting the national and international goals for our achievement of the UN SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anuva. I think Anuva gave an overall idea about the innovation and hard talk more on aligned to the remote sensing technology as well as the S2G goals. So I know this is a very, I mean to say, it's 15 to 20 minutes, is very less time to share all the thoughts and the experience. But I would like to appreciate Nitish and Anuva, who basically gave more on the policy aspect, innovation and technology aspects. Now I would like to uh, invite Ayush, who is more talk about uh, and about more talk about the action, right? Action on ground. So that's why it is very much important and complement to each other, uh, the speakers. So Ayush, welcome to you. Please give your introduction and try to finish your talk in 15 to 20 minutes. And please feel free how you can and try to connect how you can complement what Anuva as well as Nitish mentioned. Over to you, Ayush.
Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible before I start speaking? Hello.
Yes, Ayush.
you are.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. First of all, very happy International Youth Day to all 360 million youth of India, or 27% of population, which is a very big number, you can say. So, yeah, happy International Youth Day to all the audience and the panelists. So, this is Ayush Swedi, and I will talk briefly about myself, like how I came into the advocacy part. So currently, I will start with my home organization. I'm the loss and damage lead for the biggest Indian youth climate network. The organization or the climate network is called Indian Youth Climate Network, IYCN. And currently, I'm serving as the contact point for the loss and damage working group of Yango, which is the official UNFCCC youth constituency. So I'm serving as a one of two contact point. Uh, so I'll start with my home organization, that what we are doing right now, very briefly, not taking much of the time. So currently we are organizing ELCOI. If you don't know about ELCOI, that's a local climate youth conference. So basically giving a platform to all the youths within India who is actually working on ground very hard. We'll try to give them a platform and trying to include their input and consolidate all the input given by them as a national youth statement, which we will submit it to Yango as well as the ministries, the respective ministries. So we are documenting the works, inputs, and like we are holding a city consultation. So like today we have a city consultation in Guwahati. So we have started it today on the International Youth Day. Uh, so yeah, this is what we are doing right now. And apart from that, serving as a contact point, I already mentioned, where basically I represent youth voice in some of the most technical and high stake discussions, from the Santiago Network Advisory Board to the Board of Loss and Damage Fund. So these are the spaces where decisions about finance, adaptation, climate justice are made. So decisions that determine that vulnerable communities receive timely support and no one is left behind. So right. So I'll start with my topic, which is a youth advocacy. So before starting coming into the conversation, I'll give you a scenario. So like just consider a situation when you got hit by when the next time the cyclone is about to hit, the flood waters will not ask you what's your age, right? Before destroying your home, they will not ask you about your age and all. They never discriminate. So disaster don't discriminate. But the policies which we have in place often do, especially with the voices of the young people, right? So that's the first question. Second question is, like most of the panelists, including Nitish and Anuva, have mentioned that our role is more like a symbolic in nature. Like he mentioned about Madhya Pradesh youth policy. So we are generally considered as a our voices are generally considered as a symbolic in nature or tokenized, you can say, just for a presence, nothing else. So I think this is the paradox of our time. The young people who are the fastest to respond when the disaster strikes, but the slowest to be invited when the policies are being shaped. So that's the narrative we are living in. So uh, I'll directly come to the topic why youth advocacy matters, right? So I think uh, we have someone have mentioned that we are living in the hottest years in the recorded history. We are already about to cross that 1.5 degrees Celsius mark. Some organizations and reports say that we have already crossed in 2024. But yeah, the situation is disastrous. So we as an Indian youth population, 27% of our population is composed of youths, right? So when the floods come or the heat wave sets, youth people are often the first one in the streets, in the shelters, on the boats, mapping vulnerable areas, spreading early warning on social medias before even the official alerts, right? So uh, why? So is I'll ask you a question. Is it a matter of a favor or a matter of right for us to be included in the policy making process? So I have been a part of COP28 and even the Bonn conference, SB62, which recently happened in Bonn. So when you are in the negotiation room, you are surrounded by so many people. Sometimes being youth is not very easy when you are surrounded by people having an experience of more than 10 to 20 years, and people are actually not taking your voice seriously because they do believe in their experience rather than our voices. So this is the problem we are currently facing. But they will not hear us today. They will not hear us tomorrow, but they have to hear us day after tomorrow. If we are persistent enough in our approach, and we have to prove our credibility uh, with our work, that will provide the worth of our voice. So I think this is one of the important aspect that we have to, before starting the advocacy for the society, we have to advocate for our own self, our own rights. Then we can able to advocate for other part of the society, right? So uh, like I have one principle, like how youth can influence policy, which I always follow in all the negotiations, including the COP and Bonn conference. So I follow three P's. So first is presence. So what I mean by presence is that we must claim our seats. Whether it is panchayat meetings, whether it is village level disaster committee, state climate cells, international negotiations like COP, wherever they are making a decision for youth, we must have to be there. We have to ensure that they're not making the policy for us without us. So that's the main point that we have to focus upon. Second P is persistence. Like from the negotiation, people think so. What happens usually in with the youths that they are getting only active during the negotiation and the consultations, right? So what I believe is that our work starts from the negotiation and end with the implementation. Uh, to make them accountable of their actions, of their word that they have spoken in the negotiation, all the promises. So it is about tracking the promises, sending the follow-ups, holding institution accountable. Everything's all the implementation part comes with your persistence. Because if you are not raising voice for yourself, no one will be in the society. So our fate is in our hand, not other part of society. Third is partnership. Like initially mentioned, that being in a negotiation, holding a mic as a young people is not very easy. So for that to build an experience, we have to build a partnership. That is the third P. Okay. So youth-led innovation must be linked with the scientists, community leaders, journalists, policymakers, and the lived experience that we are getting from the communities, from the scientists, from the researchers, actually put a weight in our voice, uh, making us more credible than without the support of these partnership we have. So it's always be always ready to learn, be always ready to work, prove your credibility, prove your worth with your work. So this is how you can influence the policy. That's the three P's that every youth I will suggest have to follow if they are into the advocacy part. And start with small, start advocating for yourself, then start advocating for the society. Uh, so uh, if I'll come to a topic, we don't need a permission to lead, right? We are not just here for the symbolic presence. It's a matter of our right. If you are making a policy for youth, you must have to include not as an observer, but as an equal partner for the decision making process. So I think this every youth have to be mindful of. So, so here is my challenge to all of yours, to the government that institutionalize our seats in the climate and the DRR decision making bodies, to the humanitarian agencies, fund youth-led resilience projects with the same seriousness you fund infrastructure, right? And to my youth fellow, document your work, measure your impact, and speak with the unified voice, not individually, but work as a united front. Then only people will take us serious. So I think uh, if we are united enough, if we are having a credibility in our work, no one can stop us from hearing us and including us in the policy making process. Not today, not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, they have to include us. So this is all about persistence, all about presence, all about partnership, is what I believe. So I think I have covered most of the part. I don't want to go into the technical side, which already have been covered by Anuva and Nitish. Just a one last quote. Uh, and before that, I want to share my journey, how I started into the advocacy part. So I just completed my master's from one of the oldest social science institute of India, that is Tata Institute of Social Science. So the institution is known for its fieldwork. So one time we have a fieldwork with one of the community in the Raigad district of the Maharashtra. Basically, it's a water scarce district. So when I spent 10 days with them, I got to know we are very privileged. We have a water to drink, food to eat, shelter to cover ourselves. They have to walk a mile holding their children to get a single bucket of water. this is the condition that they are facing. It doesn't means if you are not suffering, it doesn't exist. Sooner or later, whether you are privileged or not, it will affect you. It is not affecting you right now, but with the intensified disaster, it is actually going to affect you in future. So start advocating for the communities which are already suffering. So it's always my advice to all the youths, if you really need a motivation, right? Just spend a single day with the communities with the climate migrants. Not a week, not a month, just only a single day. You will get to know what is the suffering. You will get the motivation from there and you will start advocating for them. Just try it. Every youth of India should spend a single day with the climate migrants and the communities which are affected by the climate change and the climate disasters. So I'll leave with the closing remark. So the question is not no longer whether young people can lead on climate resilience. It's whether the world is ready to follow us. So if the tide is rising, so are we. So thank you everyone. And one quote I remember of Swami Vivekanand ji. So he was like, all powers are within us. We can do anything and everything. So Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you so much.
Hello, I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes,
Yes.
you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Ayush, for the way you connected the climate resilience and the role of youth and the call for action. So thanks for all these insights and your experience you have shared. So as you mentioned, that when you shared your experience, the one point is sometimes we don't know where the opportunities are. So I would like to invite Hina, as you are an recognized UN recognized climate leader and one of the 17 Indians who got these opportunities. So thank you, Hina, for joining us today. So I would like to request you first let us know about yourself. How do you become the UN recognized leader so other can also join you or your team in future? Because we have lots of young enthusiastic here who really work on the ground. And then you can share your thoughts. And after your session, we'll go for the open discussion forum. So over to you, Hina. Please take 15 minutes. Feel free to share your knowledge, thoughts, and if you have any suggestion for the youths who are here today. Over to you, Hina.
Hello everyone. Am I audible?
Hina, you are not audible to me. I don't know for others.
I guess your
Hello.
voice, yes, you are audible. His voice is cracking somewhere.
Yeah.
Hello. No, I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. तो मेरा नाम हिना सैफी है और मैं उत्तर प्रदेश के एक छोटे से गांव से सोला बुजुर्ग से बिलोंग करती हूँ और मोस्टली जो रूरल एरियाज में ग्रास रूट लेवल पर काम करती हूँ और जो उन बच्चों के थॉट्स है मैं आप तक पहुंचा पाऊँ और मुझे प्लेटफॉर्म दिया जो मैं अपनी बात यहाँ तक रख पाऊँ और आज इंटरनेशनल यूथ डे है और यूथ डे का मीन्स मैं यही समझती हूँ कि आज ये यूथ डे हमें यही याद दिलाता है कि हम सब की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि हम अपने क्लाइमेट के लिए आगे आए क्योंकि ये हम सब की जिम्मेदारी है जब कोई ऐसे डिजास्टर वगैरह या कुछ प्रॉब्लम, कुछ नुकसान होता है, हम सबको मिलके होता है, क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज एक ऐसा चेहरा है जिसको हम लॉस एंड डैमेज भी कहते हैं। तो अगर हम लॉस एंड डैमेज मीन्स वो नुकसान जो हमें डिजास्टर्स के आने से होता है, और लॉस मीन्स वो चीजें जो कभी वापस नहीं आती, जैसे कि हमारे अपने लोगों की जान और अपनी पुरानी यादें और वो अपनी जमीन का वो हिस्सा जो शायद समुद्र में समा गया है। और डैमेज का मीन्स होता है कि वो चीजें जो शायद जिसको हम रिपेयर कर सकते हैं। तो यही चीजें हमें याद दिलाती है कि हम इस चीज पे क्यों आगे आते हैं। इतने सारे नुकसानात हम देखते हैं, और यहीं पे हम सबकी यूथ की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि हम इसमें बढ़ चढ़ कर हिस्सा लें, क्योंकि जब ये क्लाइमेट चेंज दूर की प्रॉब्लम नहीं, बल्कि हम सब की प्रॉब्लम है, हमारे शहर की, हमारे घर की, हमारे खेत की, हमारे पानी की, ये सब पर असर डालता है। और अगर बात करें कि जो पिछले 8 साल हैं वो इतिहास के सबसे गर्म साल रहे हैं, और जो भारत की बात करें तो हीट वेव्स इवेंट्स की बात करें तो 50% तक, 55% तक बढ़ गए। तो ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हमें देखने को आती है, और गांव में आज भी डिजास्टर के वक्त सब कुछ खो देते हैं। किसान अपने साल भर की फसल, बच्चे अपना स्कूल, और जो वुमेन्स हैं वो अपना सामान, और बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें जो हम डिजास्टर के आने से खो देते हैं। तो वही सारी चीजें जैसे मैं देखती हूँ कि मेरे आसपास मेरे खुद की कहानी है। मैं देखती हूँ कि मेरे गांव में पॉन्ड्स है, ड्यूरिंग मानसून वो पूरा ओवरफ्लो होके रोड्स को पूरा ब्लॉक कर देता है, और जिससे बच्चे गुजर के जाते हैं उसमें निकल के। और बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रॉब्लम, बहुत सारे ऐसे चैलेंजेस हमें देखने को मिलते हैं। जो बच्चे हैं वो अपने स्कूल नहीं जा पाते हैं। वो सारी चीजें देखकर हमने एक्शन लिया, क्योंकि मैं देखती हूँ कि मेरे जो विलेज है उसमें मोस्टली चाइल्ड लेबर है, जो आउट ऑफ स्कूल स्टूडेंट जिनको मैं पढ़ा रही हूँ, जो बच्चे थे पहले अब उनको वो एजुकेशन ले पा रहे हैं, उनको बेसिक एजुकेशन देने का काम कर रहे हैं, ताकि वो समझे, उनको प्रॉब्लम का पता चले, उनको टेम्परेरी और जो परमानेंट प्रॉब्लम है उनके बारे में पता चले। वो सारी चीजें उनके साथ में मिलके उनको बेसिक एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड करना, उनको नेचर से कनेक्ट करना साथ में। लाइक हम एक फूड फॉरेस्ट बना रहे हैं इसमें, बटरफ्लाई गार्डन, किचन गार्डन, उन बच्चों के थ्रू, ताकि उनका इंटरेस्ट बढ़े, वो भी क्लाइमेट के सॉल्यूशन में आ जाए, वो भी पीछे न रह जाए क्लाइमेट के सॉल्यूशन में। तो उनको इस तरीके से तैयार करना ताकि उनको एजुकेशन भी मिले और साथ साथ में वो नेचर से भी कनेक्ट हो। तो वही सारी चीजें हम अपनी कम्युनिटी में बच्चों के साथ में, कम्युनिटी के लोगों के साथ में, स्पेशली जो गर्ल्स हैं जो स्कूल नहीं जाती, जो घर पर ही रहती है, उनके साथ में बैठ के मीटिंग्स करना, उनके साथ बैठ के बात करना, वुमेन के साथ में बैठ के बात करना। जो फार्मर हैं उनके साथ में उन्हीं के अंदाज में बात करना। लाइक क्लाइमेट चेंज उनके लिए बहुत डिफरेंट, बहुत डिफिकल्ट वर्ड हो जाता है, उनको समझना थोड़ा इसके लिए थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है। तो उनको उनके अंदाज में बात करना कि आपकी फसलें बर्बाद होंगी, आपके बच्चे बीमार होंगे, आपको ये प्रॉब्लम्स आ सकती हैं, और उनको एजुकेशन के बारे में बताना। इवन मेरे विलेज में जो बच्चे कभी स्कूल नहीं गए, मदरसे नहीं गए, तो उनको घर घर जाके उनको ट्यूशन देना, और कुछ बच्चे उनको घर पे बुला के ट्यूशन देना। साथ में उनको अभी हमारा एक इनिशिएटिव जो हमने स्टार्ट किया अर्थ बडी, क्योंकि मैं चाहती हूँ कि हर बच्चा अर्थ से कनेक्ट हो, उनके उसके बारे में वैल्यू पता चले, ताकि वो उससे कनेक्ट हो। तो अभी हमने एक स्टार्ट किया है अर्थ बडी के नाम से, ताकि हर बच्चा अर्थ बडी बने, हर इंसान अर्थ बडी बने, वो उससे कनेक्ट हो, चाहे वो किसी भी मीडियम से। तो अब क्लाइमेट जो कम्युनिटी लीडर हैं उनसे उनके उनके अंदाज में जाके बात करना, और ऐसे ही बहुत सारे ऐसे सॉल्यूशन निकल के आ रहे हैं जिसमें हम जो कम्युनिटी के लोगों के साथ में बात करते हैं। और वो सारी चीजें जो एक कम्युनिटी का एक हमारा प्रोग्राम चलता रहता है। और इफ आई टॉक अबाउट माय जर्नी, जो मेरी शुरुआत हुई क्लाइमेट के फील्ड में, क्योंकि जब मैं स्कूल में होती थी, जो मेरे जो क्लासमेट होते थे, मेरे फ्रेंड्स होते थे, वो स्कूल नहीं जाते थे, वो चाइल्ड लेबर थे। तो मुझे वो सारी चीज़ें बहुत मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता था, तो उनसे जाके बात करना, साथ में उनके पेरेंट्स को कन्विंस करना, फिर ऐसे भी नहीं माने तो उनको फिर ट्यूशन देना, फिर धीरे-धीरे उनके अंदर इंटरेस्ट बढ़ाना कि ये कर सकते हैं हम, ये उनके साथ कॉम्पिटिशन कराना, स्पीच कॉम्पिटिशन, ड्राइंग कॉम्पिटिशन, स्कूल में जा के सेशन कंडक्ट करना। तो धीरे-धीरे इंटरेस्ट बढ़ता गया, पहचान मिली और फिर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के थ्रू यूएन के लिए नॉमिनेशन हुआ, जिसमें 2021 में एज अ इंडियन क्लाइमेट यूथ लीडर सिलेक्शन हुआ। तो ये गांव में बहुत खुशी की बात थी सबके लिए कि हाँ, कोई तो आगे बढ़े। इवन जब कोई आगे बढ़ता है तो इवन सभी लोगों के बारे में वो सोचता है उसके, तो आगे चल के मुझे पता चला क्या क्या होता है। इवन क्लाइमेट चेंज का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो उसके बाद में ही थोड़ा समझ में आया। पहले चीजों को फील करना, सिर्फ जो चीजें बहुत परेशान करती थी, हर तरफ कूड़ा, हर तरफ धुआं और एजुकेशन ना होना, तो वो सारी चीजें सब परेशान करती थी। लेकिन जब उन सबके साथ में जब बाहर जाके थोड़ा एकदम आई ओपन जैसा था कि नहीं, हमें बहुत कुछ करना है अभी, हम बहुत पीछे रह गए हैं। इवन अब ये पता लगा कि हम कहाँ स्टैंड करते हैं, हमारी कंट्री कहाँ स्टैंड करती है। तो उन सब चीज़ों के बारे में सीखकर मेरा और कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ा। तो वो सारी चीज़ें फिर बाद में आके और कम्युनिटी के साथ एंगेज होना। इवन जो मेरे विलेज है उसके जो दूसरा विलेज है मेरा नेबर विलेज, वहाँ पे जाके 2 किलोमीटर दूर रेगुलर 5th मंथ तक पैदल चल के लोगों से बात करना, क्योंकि वहाँ पे आफ्टर 5th स्टैंडर्ड स्कूल नहीं है, बच्चे स्कूल नहीं जाते। तो उन जो वुमेन हैं, मोस्टली वहाँ पे लेबर हैं सभी लोग, तो उन जो वहाँ की वुमेन्स हैं उनको ऐसे तैयार करना एज सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योर, या फिर छोटी-छोटी चीज़ों से उनकी स्टार्टिंग करना, जैसे उनको फुटबॉल स्टिचिंग की ट्रेनिंग दी ताकि वो अपना लाइवलीहुड चला सके और अपने बच्चों की स्कूल की जो फीस है उसको अफोर्ड कर सके, ताकि जो ये प्रॉब्लम है इसको सॉल्व करने में आसानी हो। तो उन सबको ट्रेन करना और ये सारे जो प्रोग्राम्स है वो हमने अपने थ्रू किए और काफ़ी लोग साथ में जुड़ते गए। उसके बाद में डब्ल्यूसीसी की चैंपियन बनी, फिर एक एनवाईसीसी के अंडर एक फेलोशिप का पार्ट बनी, जिसमें काफ़ी कुछ सीखने को मिला प्रैक्टिकली। उसी के अंडर युवा और यूनिसेफ की साइड से अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली COP29 में अपनी कम्युनिटी को, अपनी कंट्री को रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए। और अभी मैं अब खुद का एक इनिशिएटिव स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ अधबर्डी के नाम से, जिसमें बच्चों के साथ में, स्पेशली गर्ल्स के साथ में जो स्कूल नहीं जाती, जो ड्रॉप आउट है, उनके साथ में मिलके काम करना। तो ये प्रॉब्लम्स जो हम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं अपने थ्रू, तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि हमारा एक बहुत अच्छे लेवल पे जाए, ताकि हर जो रूरल एरियाज में जिनको अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं मिलती, जिनको पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं होते, उनको सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। और मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप भी हम सबको सपोर्ट करें, ताकि हम हर उस इंसान तक पहुंच जाए जिसके जो काफी पैशनेट है क्लाइमेट के लिए काम करने के लिए, लेकिन उनके पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं होते, सपोर्ट नहीं होते, हम उन तक रीच बना पाए। तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि इन सब चीज़ों में आप सबका सपोर्ट मिले, सब लोग जुड़े और हम इसको मूवमेंट के रूप में देखें। तो या और यूथ की बात करें तो उनके साथ भी कॉलेजेस में जाके उनके साथ प्रोग्राम करना साथ में। और दूसरे कि मैं चाहती हूँ कि हर यूथ इसके लिए आ गया है, क्योंकि यूथ के पास वो ताकत है जो वो बदलाव ला सकते हैं। क्योंकि हम सबको चाहिए, हम सबको साफ हवा चाहिए, हमको एकदम साफ एनर्जी चाहिए, हमको एक क्लीन पानी चाहिए। तो ये सब हमारा फंडामेंटल राइट्स है। तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि जो यूथ है वो आगे आए, क्योंकि उनके पास वो ताकत है कि वो क्लाइमेट चेंज के अगेंस्ट फाइट कर सकते हैं। और जब हम शुरुआत अपने से करते हैं, हम अपने विलेज से करते हैं, अपनी कम्युनिटी से करते हैं, जब हम अपने विलेज से शुरुआत करते हैं, विलेज में चेंज आता है तो एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में चेंज आता है, जब एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट में चेंज आता है तो एक स्टेट में चेंज आता है, जब स्टेट में चेंज आता है तो एक कंट्री में चेंज आता है, और जब कंट्री में चेंज आता है तो हम पूरे वर्ल्ड में चेंज ला सकते हैं। तो शुरुआत हमें खुद से करनी होगी, छोटी छोटी जो स्मॉल स्टेप है, हम उससे बहुत बड़ा चेंज ला सकते हैं। थैंक यू।
Yeah, thank you, Hina. Thank you very much. So I think the participants now got an idea about how youth can contribute and the role of youth for the disaster risk reduction or climate adaptation or climate mitigation and overall the societal development for a better society and achieving the sustainable goals. So with this, I would like to thank all of the speakers. And as youths are here and they are so proactive, I don't think I have much to say. So I'd like to invite all of the speakers, the youth speakers, the next 30 minutes, the floor is yours. So please interact with the participants the way you want, to motivate the participants. And let's have a very warm interaction. So you can basically interact with the participant your own way. If you need any support, I'm here. So over to you, Anuva, Ayush, Nitish, and Hina. The way you want to interact with the participants.
So before interacting with the participants, I had a question to all the panelists here. So I wanted to know if, or if you can share an example of any climate or environmental action in the community which has actively involved the vulnerable group, all the vulnerable groups, women, children, elderly people, those living with disabilities, and specifically the most left behind, the transgender and the LGBT community. So if you can ponder upon this, so it will be great.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. So yeah, I was saying that if you can share an example of any climate or environmental action in the community and any community which has actively involved the vulnerable groups, all the vulnerable groups precisely, like women, children, elderly people, those living with disabilities, and particularly the most left behind, the LGBTQ community and the transgenders. If any one of you can ponder upon this.
Okay. I just want to clear, if you want any case study like this or our experience with
Yes,
a
basically
similar
a case
situation.
study. I would ask, like, I would like to know about a case study.
So basically, I have one case study. So I'm doing my research in flood forecasting. So I've come with a very good example for this. So there is a cyclone Fallon happened in 2013, right? In Ganjam district of Odisha. So uh, how inclusive they are in their approach for the cyclone preparedness in Odisha. So I'll share one example of this. So basically what happened, the Odisha State Disaster Management Authority have partnered with the local NGOs to design the community-based cyclone preparedness plan. So basically being inclusive means to involve all the stakeholders. So the stakeholders for this are the person with the disabilities, women, elderly, and even the children's. So if I talk about the key elements, they have accessible early warning system, siren paired with the SMS alert and voice calls, including evacuating drill, I can say, the buddy volunteers, they call it. So to support the elderly people and the person with the mobility impairment, right? And like for the shelter accessibility, they have the cyclone shelters with the what you can say retrofitted with ramp, wide doorways, and flexible toilets. So in this way, you are representing the communities, all stakeholders in the planning involving the disaster management committees. So they had a reserve seat for the youths, women, transgenders, PWD representative, ensuring that their needs shape the plan, not making the plan for them. So I think this is a very good example which we can highlight here, how inclusive representation look like. Like when you are making the policy for people, including the people, not without them. Sure, that's it from my side.
Thank you so much. Like, it was quite enriching and inspiring what you just told me. Like, because inclusivity is something we really need to focus on these days, specifically the communities which are really left behind. So one more question, like I had,
So,
any of
so s- sorry to stop
yes,
you here.
yeah.
So you have mentioned about inclusivity. So what is the scenario in our country or even in worldwide? The policymaker thinks it's a matter of favor that I've already included in our conversation before, right? Inclusivity is like the favor that they are granting to the different section of the society. It is the matter of the right that we have to raise voice for. It's a
Exactly.
matter of justice. So yeah, this is my final.
I absolutely agree with you because we strongly need to include them in planning sector and preparedness sector, and we ourselves have to advocate it because we cannot be considering them as a favor movement.
Correct.
Uh, yes. So also I want to know like how can we make these community preparedness plans easier to understand for those who speak in different languages or different dialects? Because mostly we focus it in making in English or Hindi, like, but how can we focus more on the local languages and the dialects?
So
And
for
your
this also, I have a live example. We are working. I'm also acting as a youth advisor for Santiago Network Advisory Board. So they are maybe making a customized technical assistance program for different countries and even for the communities. So what we advise them that when we are choosing the representative to make the plan, include the local person because they know the dialect, they know the scenario, they know the people of the communities, right? So because you sitting in the AC room making a policy for them
exactly,
doesn't correct. So you have to involve the stakeholders. That is always a suggestion from our side. And even like if you're working with this community, try to contact their leader because people are actually listening to the leader rather than you, right? They're actually more closer to the leader. So if you're
yes,
implementing something, it will save your time, it will save your resource, and it will be very accessible to the community that you are serving for, right? So
definitely.
this is how you can make this whole process very inclusive.
Okay. Definitely agree with you. Hina, if you want to add something, please, Mike.
अकॉर्डिंग टू मी जब हम रेस की बात करते हैं तो सबसे पहले हम लोग ऐसे लोगों को इकट्ठा करते हैं हम कॉलेजेस की तरफ जाते हैं हम स्कूल की तरफ जाते हैं कि वहां से सॉल्यूशन निकल के आएगा लेकिन जब हम जो गांव के बुजुर्ग हैं जो बड़े लोग हैं उनसे बात करें तो उनके पास भी बहुत सारे ऐसे सॉल्यूशन निकल के आते हैं तो क्योंकि मोस्टली हम ऐसे बुजुर्ग लोगों को और जो गांव के बड़े लोग हैं उनको शामिल नहीं करते लेकिन उनके पास सॉल्यूशन होता है उनके पास एग्जांपल्स होते हैं और वो बता सकते हैं कि पहले ऐसा होता था पहले ऐसा होता था वो स्टोरी के थ्रू बता सकते हैं बच्चों को कि अब क्या हो रहा है नेक्स्ट क्या होने वाला है क्योंकि पहले बहुत अच्छा पानी होता था बहुत अच्छी साफ हवा होती थी सब चीजें अच्छी होती थी लोग अच्छे से रहते थे प्यार से रहते थे उनके पास बहुत सारे ऐसे से खुद के भी ऐसे सॉल्यूशन होते थे जो वो उनको बाहर जाने की जरूरत नहीं होती थी लेकिन हमें जरूरत होगी अपनी जो हमारा डिस्कशन है उसमें जो बड़े लोग हैं उनको भी इन्वॉल्व करें उनके भी सॉल्यूशन रहे उनसे भी पुरानी बातें पूछें और फिर उनको आज के टाइम से कंपेयर करें, क्योंकि उनके पास बहुत अच्छी नॉलेज होती है, उनसे भी नॉलेज गेन करें, क्योंकि मैं खुद उन लोगों से बात करती हूँ तो मुझे उनसे खुद जाके नॉलेज मिलती है। सिर्फ इस बेस पे नहीं कि वो पढ़े लिखे नहीं है या फिर वो नहीं, बस उनसे हमसे कहीं ज़्यादा उनके जब हम जाके बैठ के बात करते हैं तो कहीं ज़्यादा नॉलेज मिलती है। तो उन सब लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करें, उनकी अलग से चौपाल बनाएँ, और जो वुमेन्स हैं उनके पास भी बहुत सारे सॉल्यूशन होते हैं, घर बैठे भी वो भी काफ़ी पैशनेट होती हैं। जो मदर्स हैं वो भी अपने बच्चों के लिए काफ़ी बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टेप्स ले सकती हैं। तो हर हर इंसान को, वो कहीं से भी बिलॉन्ग करता हो, कितनी भी एजुकेशन हो, सबको इन्वॉल्व करें और सबके पास कुछ ना कुछ सॉल्यूशन है।
थैंक यू सो मच हिना। तो आपने कहा बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, आई एग्री विथ यू ऑन दिस। नीतीश एंड अनुभा, इफ यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग।
Yes, I can add the last question also and this question also. I'm sure you remember one of the story in our earlier discussion I shared. And see, I've been working with the schools to help them better prepare to make them school safer. You know, the school safety program, and like also one of the components is the wash component of the schools. And one of the experience would change the way I work with the school is very remote tribalistic in Madhya Pradesh. I visited a primary school and discussing with them about like what they understand, how they're getting affected by the disasters, and the whole club shared with me how the lightning got struck very close to their classroom, and how they were responding at that time. And my whole aspect of like this policy making and the difference of like at policy level what we are doing at the ground realities, it's like for me it was like very eye-opening. Like at the national level in India, we are too much focused right now on building infrastructure and resilience infrastructure. We have this whole global initiative of resilient infrastructure, but at the same time, we are not talking about how can teach this, like, so now you have like a very good school which can handle any disaster like flood or earthquake. But you're not still able to teach children and young people how to respond to this. And of course, we're not talking about a lot of hazards or the ground realities which is affecting us at the ground level. Like in Madhya Pradesh, we see we don't have like a very big problem of like flooding and earthquake, but here the lightning and like the snake bites. This villages where I was working with school children. One of the major cause of children's death is snake bites. But we were in the school safety component at the even national level, the state level, we are too much focused on building like very beautiful schools, but not like taking care of this component. At the same time, the wash component, like talking about toilets and the water quality. So what our response is always like, that's what I said earlier, like it's very important. The initiatives and the policies should be very local, like it should be like local at the ground level. And her whole approach is the same way. Like, yes, of course, English is the language at the national level and sometimes the state level we speak, but on the ground level, it's completely different. That's why we wanted to train young people and help them with the resources and the capacities and the skills so they can have initiative just like what Hina's doing at her village and her level. That's where you create impact. Of course, you can make policy Geneva and Bonn, but the impact it's always going at like very village level. The same way the water policy, you teach children and young people doing water quality test, and then they start asking questions. They start taking initiative how we can get more clean water and how we can start, like asking questions the Sarpanch and we can improve the situation. Yeah.
Starting on this, you have already mentioned about a lot of things. So, uh, all the global nation that we have will not navigate of the different and different part of the world have different problems, have different climate problems. Leave all aside, if we are talking only about climate, they have a different problems. We can't make a global policy like to implement for everyone. We need a customized input. We need a customized policy for the similar sect of the community, similar sect of the communities around the world. So here comes the role of the youth and the communities, right? Uh, like the inputs that you are taking from each communities, from each youths that are working across the globe can actually make the policy more effective. This is where the stakeholder consultation, the role of stakeholder consultation comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. I
So
agree with
thank you for this insight. So I have only one point to all of these speakers. So can you one by one? I'll start with Nitish, then Anuva, then obviously Ayush and Hina. So what could be your last message for the youth? How do you want to motivate? Because it's not always a success story. There's a lots of challenges are there because of youth, because of you know different other challenges, social challenges, as well as different different economical issues are there, right? So, Nitish, what could be your or what could be your suggestion for the youth who are here today? So first Nitish, then Anuva, and then obviously Ayush and Hina. Over to you, Nitish.
Thank you. I think for me it's very difficult, the level of motivation for each people is very different. But what I always suggest, or like whenever I work with young people who want to work as field, I always say, see, I think Ash also mentioned in his input, so it's sometimes what happens is we get too much focus on like talking aspects, you want to be in a lot of platforms and you want to be speakers, and we don't very much focus on the doing stuff. And I think it's for me it's very important, uh, the doing component, and my message is always similar to this, whatever you're doing, you don't have to, even if you're working in the IT sector or you're working in the finance, you don't have to switch to your career and start working in this development space. Where you are, how you can contribute, it's very easy, because it's not like, okay, if I'm working in the development sector or DRR or climate action sector, then I'm able to contribute to this field. But it's not like that. In any field, wherever you are working, you can actually contribute to the this aspect of your work. So I think that's what like the doing component I think we have to focus about. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitish. Here, I would like to add that you are saying that our voices does not get to the appropriate decision makers. So if we can go based on the evidences that we get from the technology, this would be added as a evidence for their implementation into the decision making or policy making purpose.
So on everyone's point, so I saw one slide on Nitish. So that's a very first slide. So it was like, just remove this perspective. We are not the leader of tomorrow, not just the leader of tomorrow. We are the leader of today. So every voice we raise is a lifeline, or every action we take is a blueprint of our survival. So if the world is not making space for us, we'll make the table ourselves, because the thing we wait for, it's something that we create. That's all from my side so much. I think Hina is the next one. Hina, over to you.
या और मैं सिर्फ यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि क्लाइमेट चेंज को सिर्फ न्यूज़ का ही इशू नहीं मानना चाहिए। यूथ जैसे अभी आपने बोला कि हम प्रेजेंट के लीडर्स हैं, और फिर हमें मतलब टुमारो जो हमें लीडर्स हमें खुद को क्रिएट्स करने हैं, तो हमारी आवाज़, हमारी सोच और हमारे एक्शन ही चेंज को क्लाइमेट चेंज को रोक सकते हैं। तो छोटे-छोटे कदम, जैसे हम अभी प्लांटेशन ड्राइव चलाते हैं, इस तरीके से पानी को बचाना या वाटर कंजर्वेशन और एनर्जी का सही यूज़ करना, कम्युनिटी को अवेयर करना, ये सब मिलकर एक असर डाल सकते हैं। और यूथ होने का मतलब सिर्फ क्योंकि हम देखते हैं कि हमारे स्मार्ट सिटी हो, हमारी कंट्री अच्छी हो, सिर्फ हम ड्रीम्स देखते हैं, लेकिन ये तभी पॉसिबल होगा तब जब हम एक्शन में आएंगे। तो हमें जरूरत है एक्शन में आने की, तभी हम क्लाइमेट चेंज के अगेंस्ट फाइट कर सकते हैं। तो यूथ को चाहिए बिना किसी पे ब्लेम लगाना कि आपने किया, उसने किया, खुद से स्टार्ट कीजिए, क्योंकि हम ही वो हैं। हम खुद से स्टार्ट करेंगे तो चेंज एक बड़े लेवल पे आएगा। हम शुरुआत छोटे से करेंगे, थोड़ा नेक्स्ट लेवल का चेंज आएगा, थोड़ा नेक्स्ट लेवल का चेंज आएगा, तो फिर हम उसी से ग्लोबली चेंज ला सकते हैं। तो हमें शुरुआत खुद से करनी होगी, और जब भी हम नेक्स्ट लीडर क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, तभी हम क्लाइमेट चेंज को रोक सकते हैं। तो जब भी हम अपनी आवाज को हर एक इंसान तक पहुंचा सकते हैं, जब तक खुद को ना बदलेंगे। पहले हमें खुद से शुरुआत करनी होगी, अब खुद के बिहेवियर में चेंज लाना होगा, तभी बदलाव पॉसिबल है। तो यूथ को चाहिए कि सभी को वो क्लाइमेट चेंज के अगेंस्ट लड़ने के लिए सबसे आगे आए, क्योंकि वही यूथ के पास वो एनर्जी है जो जल्दी से बदलाव ला सकती है। That's all.
Thanks. I mean to say, it was a nice discussion. Sanchita, can I request you if we can get 2 or 3 questions from the participant, if they can unmute yourself, and then we can conclude. We have another 6 minutes,
Yes.
and we can conclude. Yeah, thank you.
Any participant, if they have any particular question to our panelists, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions. Or write it in the chat box if you are facing any kind of network connectivity issue. So feel free to do that, or else, if not, sir, we will move to vote of thanks. Any one of you again asking if there is any question to our panelists, because we don't get such event where we have such inspiring young climate activists with us. So feel free to ask.
Yes. So I think I can start by asking, first of all, my name is James Kimanzi. I'm a youth in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm very grateful for this webinar on what you have discussed about policy making, partnerships, and advocacy. So I will just ask that we know well that in many communities, youth have innovative climate solutions, but they struggle to access funding and policy support. So what concrete strategies can bridge this gap so that young people's ideas can move from local projects to national and even global impacts. Thank you so much.
I request any of the panelists, any member from the panelists, they can open their mic and answer the question. Nitish, Hina, Ayush, Anubha.
So
I-
if yeah, so I think if no one want to speak on this, so I have like when I initially started now, so even to attend these climate conferences, I am facing the funding crisis. Leave the action. So I think uh, funding is the most difficult part. To access to these the funding mechanism. It's the very difficult part for the youth. But I think it's a very better way when you're working with the organization, when you're not working individually, when you're working with the organization or the cooperatives, you can pitch out for the funding, so that will put more weight in your voice. Like I have an example in some Pacific island nation, like community solar microgrids were funded through a mix of development grants, which is a local cooperative contribution, private sector investment. So this is how you have to approach, right? Just have to work with the community who had the experience earlier to access the funds from the national or global funds. Just uh, s- raise a voice. I think that's the first point. Just have a credibility in your work. If the policymakers uh, is able to know about your work because of your credibility and the effort you have put in, today or tomorrow, you will definitely receive a support. Uh, Maybe not from the national government, but you can raise a voice as a community, force the policymakers, uh, stand as a united front, and you can always and there are so many mechanisms right now, like there are. So I received my funding to attend the COP and all, like through CSR funds. So there are many companies which have the CSR wings. You can try to reach out to these uh, corporate social responsibility companies, like they have the ESG alignment. So they are work with the business to align the CSR spending with the community identified resilience priorities, you can say. So many corporates have the mandate to spend something on the communities. So try to reach out as a united front. I think uh, if not the government, you can access the funds through the private sector.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. We have only 1 minute left. So I have one suggestion, Sanchita.
Yes,
We have four youth leaders today. They spoke so many points. So
yes.
can we go, I will say, can we request them to write a blog together? And there are lots of platforms are available. Even we have some, Medium is there. We have some IEEE platform also where you can share these things. IEEE climate portal is also there. So just think about, because you are the youth leader, if you come up with some small blog with 400 to 500 words, that will basically help to outreach of this particular session and the active and what I say, the activities what Sphere India is conducting for last 4 to 5 years. Yeah, over to you, Sanchita, for concluding remarks.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely, sir. So we'll definitely look forward to these and like see how can we build such a blog. Definitely, I'm taking this under consideration and definitely we will do something about it because it will be a very, very great move. So moving forward, concluding with the vote of thanks. I thank you all for joining us today inspiring webinar on voices of the young, driving change in climate and disaster resilience. On the behalf of Sphere India and our esteemed co-organizing partners, IEEE Young Professionals, IEEE GRSS BIT, MESTRA, Student Branch Chapter, and Sadri, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the distinguished speakers, Ms. Hina Saifi, Mr. Nitish Barole, Ms. Anubha Chaudhary, and Mr. Ayush Dwivedi, for sharing their invaluable insights and experience on youth-led climate action and disaster risk reduction. Your stories on community-based adaptation, preparedness leadership, technological innovation, and policy advocacy have truly brought to life the immense potential of young change makers in shaping a resilient future. A special note of appreciation to our moderator, Dr. Surajit Ghosh sir, for guiding us through today's rich and thought-provoking discussions, ensuring every perspective was heard and amplified. We are especially thankful for our collaborative partners for their commitment in creating a platform that celebrates youth leadership and fosters meaningful connection between youth innovators, practitioners, and policymakers. To all the participants, including youth leaders, policymakers, practitioners, academicians, humanitarian workers, and concerned citizens, thank you all for taking your time out to engage with us today. Your presence reflects the growing recognition that resilience building is a shared responsibility and that youth voices must be at the heart of this journey. So we will continue to host these such sessions under Sphere India Academy to spotlight impactful initiatives and strengthen collective action for disaster resilience and climate adaptation. We invite your feedback and suggestions to make these sessions more fruitful and inclusive and impactful. Do stay connected with us through our social media channels and Sphere India Academy for updates on upcoming events, learning opportunities, and resources. Once again, thank you all. Stay safe, stay resilient, and keep driving change.
Thanks, Sanchita and Gursimran, and IEEE and SADRI and others. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.